Oh, hello, great readers. I'm Belchan.
I'm Nim.
I'm Van Chan.
In this class, I'll read to all of you a part of Great Expectations.
S.
L.
Great Expectations. Charles Dickens. Chap 30 Sec 1. Warning. Meant to fill a post of trust at Mr. Gans. Why, of course, he is not the right sort of man. That said my guardian, comfortably satisfied beforehand on the general head, was not exceptionally held by the right sort of man. Of Warlick. Very good. Vape, he observed, when I had concluded. I'll go round presently, and pay our friend off, rather alarmed by this summary action. I was for a little delay, and even hinted that our friend himself might be difficult to deal with. Oh no, he won't, said my guardian, making his pocket handkerchief point, with perfect confidence, as we were going back together to London by the midday coach. This gave me an opportunity of saying that I wanted to walk, and that I would go on along the London road while Mr. Shaggers was occupied. Overtaken. I was thus enabled to fly from the Blue Boar immediately after breakfast. At the back of Pemblecock's premises, I got round into the High Street again, a little beyond that pitfall, and felt myself in comparative security. It was interesting to be in the quiet old town once more, and it was not disagreeable to be here and there suddenly recognised and stared after. Little way down the street before me, that they might turn, as if they had forgotten something, made the worst pretence they of not doing it, or I of not seeing it. Still, my position was a distinguished one, and I was not at all dissatisfied with it, until fate threw me in the way of that unlimited miscreant, Travesbury. Casting my eyes along the street at a certain point of my progress, I beheld Travesbury approaching, lashing himself with an empty blue bag, deeming that a serene and unconscious contemplation of him would best beseem me, and would be most likely to quell his evil mind. I advanced with that expression of countenance, and was rather congratulating myself on my success, when suddenly the knees of Travesbury smote together. His hair uprose. His cap fell off. He trembled violently in every limb, staggered out into the road, and crying to the populace, "Hold me! I'm so frightened," feigned to be in a paroxysm of terror and contrition, occasioned by the dignity of my appearance. As I passed him, his teeth loudly chattered in his head, and with every mark of extreme humiliation, he prostrated himself in the dust. This was a hard thing to bear, but this was nothing. I had not advanced another 200 yards when, to my inexpressible terror, amazement, and indignation, I again beheld Travesbury approaching. He was coming round a narrow corner. His blue bag was slung over his shoulder, honest industry beamed in his eyes. A determination to proceed to Trabs with cheerful briskness was indicated in his gait. With a shock he became aware of me, and was severely visited as before. But this time his motion was rotatory, and he staggered round and round me with knees more afflicted, and with uplifted hands as if beseeching for mercy. His sufferings were held with the greatest joy by a knot of spectators, and I felt utterly confounded. I had not got as much down the street as the post office, when I again beheld Trabb's boy shooting round by a back way. This time, he was entirely changed. He wore the blue bag in the manner of my greatcoat, and was strutting along the pavement towards me on the opposite side of the street. Exclaimed, with a wave of his hand, "By Trabb's boy." When passing abreast of me, he pulled up his shirt collar, twined his side hair, stick an arm akimbo, and smirk extravagantly by, wriggling his elbows and body, and drawling to his attendants, "Don't know ya, don't know ya," crowing and pursuing me across the bridge with grins. As from an exceedingly dejected fowl who had known me when I was a blacksmith, culminated the disgrace with which I left the town, and was, so to speak, ejected by it into the open country. But unless I had taken the life of Trabb's boy on that occasion, I really do not even now see what I could have done save in to have struggled with him in the street, or to have exacted any lower recompense from him than his heart's best blood, would have been futile and degrading. Moreover, he was a boy whom no man could hurt, an invulnerable and dodging serpent who, when chased into a corner, flew again between his captive's legs, scornfully yelping. I wrote, however, to Mr. Trabb by next day's post, to say that Mr. who, to the best interests of society, asked to employ a boy who accepted living in every respectable mind. The coach, with Mr. Juggers inside, came up in due time, and I took my box seat again, and arrived in London safe but not sound, for my heart was gone as soon as I arrived, having gone myself, and then went on to Barnard's Inn. I found Herbert dining on cold meat, and delighted to welcome me back, having dispatched Avenger to the coffee house for an addition to the dinner. Chum, as confidence was out of the question with the Avenger in the hall, which could merely be regarded in the light of an antechamber to the keyhole, I sent him to the play, afforded then the degrading shifts to which I was constantly driven to find him employment, so mean his extremity, that I sometimes sent him to hide back corner to see what o'clock it was. Dinner done, and we sitting with our feet upon the fender, I said to Herbert, "My dear Herbert." "My dear Handel," he returned. "It concerns myself." "Herbert," said I. Herbert crossed his feet, looked at the fire with his head on one side, and having looked at it in vain for some time, looked at me because I didn't go on. "Herbert," said I, laying my hand upon his knee, instead of being transfixed. Herbert replied in an easy matter-of-course way, "Exactly." "Well, Herbert, is that all you say?" "What next?" "I mean," said Herbert. "How do you know it?" said I. "How do I know it?" "Handel?" "Oil." Told me? You have never told me when you have got your hair cut. But I have had senses to perceive it. You have always adored her. Ever since I have known you. You brought your adoration and your portmanteau here together. Told me? Oil. You have always told me all day long. When you told me your own story, you told me plainly that you began adoring her the first time you saw her. Very well. Then said I, to whom this was a new and not unwelcome light, I have never left adoring her, and she has come back, a most beautiful and most elegant creature, and I saw her yesterday, and if I adored her before, lucky for you then. Handel, said Herbert, that you are picked out for her and allotted to her, without encroaching on forbidden ground. But have you any idea yet? I shook my head gloomily. Well, she is thousands of miles away from me, said I. Patience, my dear Handel. Time enough. Time enough. I am ashamed to say it, I returned. And yet it's no worse to say it than to think it. You call me a lucky fellow. Of course. I am. I was a blacksmith's boy but yesterday. Say a good fellow. If you want a phrase, returned Herbert, smiling, and clapping his hand on the back of many a good fellow, with impetuosity and hesitation, boldness and diffidence, action and dreaming, character, on the whole. To be continued.